everyone. It's Megan Wise. Welcome to the Portfolio Podcast, where we talk property profits, real estate investing, and all the things. And I'm super excited to welcome Peter Stewart. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for coming. Peter is just a shining star. We are OGs in this real estate business. We've been doing it over 15 years together, but our stars just aligned in the last year. So I'm so excited to talk about Peter's journey in real estate. He's a star. He's over 12 million in production closed in 2024 alone, going to beat his previous record of 26 million closed last year. And he does it in many different ways, and his customer service is top notch. His investment knowledge is something to be rivaled with in the city of Indianapolis. So thank you, Peter. Talk to us a little bit about how you got started in this industry, how you fell into this real estate world.
Absolutely, and it actually really was me falling into it, not literally, but it was very random in a sense. So backing up a little bit, so I'm born and raised in Indianapolis, after I graduated college, I went to IU down in Bloomington. I moved out to Los Angeles, California. I actually was a payroll accountant out there, so I worked in the television industry, completely unrelated to real estate. And my wife's cousin at the time was a realtor in Long Beach, and just one day we were chatting randomly. I was kind of bored of the accounting world because while I was very good at my job, there's a ceiling. You know, you can be the best accountant in the world, you're only going to make so much money.
That's true.
And then you're done, and that's just not how I operate. So she was like, hey, you'd be really good at real estate. And I've never considered it in my life. And then it just sat and marinated, and then all of a sudden I go, you know what? Let's do it. I'm a kind of a burn the ships kind of guy. So I do a lot of my due diligence and thinking in my head, and then when I'm ready to go, I go all in. So in 2008, when the market was tanking, I was getting my license, and everyone was telling me I was crazy, but I saw the opportunity and got in right on the ground floor in the beginning of 2009 out there.
Love it.
And just never looked back since.
That's so cool. And that's very similar to myself. I was a former teacher, and there's a ceiling, but there's also a ceiling with your time, not only just your money. And so after 15 years, you have crafted this amazing system where you have constant leads coming in. You're constantly working with out-of-state buyers and local. You're in the investment world, but you're also in the luxury world. So tell us a little bit about both your worlds, how you work them.
Sure, yeah. I mean, my business has always been, I would say volume, because it's not just about the transactions, but I'm a big thinker. I go big. Yeah, I'm not the average agent who's going to close 3 or 4 or 5 deals a year. I'm going to close as many as I possibly can and help as many people out as I possibly can. So over the years, I've kind of, at the beginning of my career, I realized real estate can be a big roller coaster, especially if you only have one focus. Like I work buyers in this neighborhood, or sellers over here, whatever it is, in these niches. And when the market shifts, you can be in real trouble. So if you're a luxury agent in LA, the $20 million mark, and things shift, usually the luxury segment's the first to kind of cool off. So I did not want that roller coaster of a career. So I consider them levers, different ways of getting business and different types of people servicing. So of course, your standard home buyer, home seller, there's the luxury segments, there's the entry level and everything in between. And then you have investors as well. So I've been working with a lot of the different types of people my whole career, and been building that up, of course, over the years. So I have a much more stable and smooth business and can ride out any of the shifts. Just like, in 2022, when things completely flipped on their head and interest rates nearly tripled in a very short amount of time, a lot of people had a lot of trouble dealing with that market that ensued. And there's a lot of agents out of the business already from 2022. And whereas me, I saw that shift, changed a few things. And last year I had a record-setting year, and I'm on pace to beat last year as well.
Amazing. And I would say the testament of is that you are disciplined and you work endlessly and tirelessly for your clients, but I also love that you set strong boundaries, and that I do as well for our family time, and like kind of a phone off kind of thing after 6 o'clock, and no responding to emails on Sundays unless it's a fire or a big deal. Because when you do high volume, you want to give everything to every client, but sometimes you just can't, and it's a mindset shift, I think. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's a challenge that I wasn't very good at earlier in my career. I mean, there's times where I'd work 60 days, and I'm talking nearly full days, not just 30, 60 minutes, full days in a row.
Every day.
Before kids, after I was married, but before kids, a little easier. And after a point in your life, number one, you realize, I can't sustain this forever. You will get burnt out. And of course, as kids come along, priorities shift. And they're the most important thing to me. That's why I do what I do. So setting boundaries is important, because if you give, you give an inch, they're going to take a yard. And you do that for the 50 clients you're actively working with, and magically you're working 96 hours a week, and you have 0 free time. So you do have to set those boundaries. And when
Yeah.
you do that, you also allows you to recharge a little bit. So
Yeah.
when I am on and I am working, you got 100% from me
That's
versus
right.
I'm burnt out and pissed off that you're taking my time. So I'm only giving you, 70%.
Yeah, and when you burn out, you do feel a little bit more chippy in the responses, and you shouldn't
Yes.
be. It's just because you're tired. And I love that you and I both value our boundaries, and I think our clients get the best version of us because we understand how to turn it on and turn it off for our clients.
I'll get compliments sometime. Like
Yeah.
at first you're like, oh no, this is bad. I don't take calls after 6. But when they realize, hey, it's because my family time is a priority to me. Most people understand that and
Yeah, they
actually
do.
end up respecting that.
Yeah.
And they know, look, I'm not going to drop the ball on anything. If there's
No.
a time sensitive matter, it's going to get handled
Correct.
one way or the other.
And I think as professionals, we both have full-time staff that support the business that we run, and I think that's really important. If you're, anywhere 7 to 8 million plus, you should consider having that full-time support staff that has taken some of the burden off.
Oh, yeah.
And it's allowed you to leverage and do more having that support staff, which is great. And you're getting so much because I want to share a little bit about you are on one of the 9 elite agents for Bigger Pockets.
Yes.
And Bigger Pockets, if you don't know, is this amazing, I would say it's the #1 podcast in the world about investing and how to invest, how to get started. It's all the things investing. And whether you're a newcomer or you're OG or you're experienced, you can plug and play and listen to these podcasts. And people are getting inspired listening. Buyers, realtors, client, everybody, everyday people. And you are actually one of the top 9 realtors that they will source deals to you because of your experience.
Yeah, and I've got on podcast twice, which was a dream come true.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah. It's like the Joe Rogan of real estate.
Yeah,
podcasts.
the Joe Rogan real estate podcast. You're right. Well, hopefully this is going to be the
next big
next
thing, yes.
Joe Rogan real estate podcast. So you spoke on those podcasts. You get a ton of buyer and clients from that. Tell us a little bit about how that has supercharged your business.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I've been working with Bigger Pockets. I've been a fan since I think I stumbled across them in 2017. I've been investing for a long time. I started in 2011.
Wow.
But I didn't really find them until 2017 and just listened to podcasts and then just fell in love with what they were doing. And you're right, the resources and knowledge that they provide are unparalleled. I've not found a single other site or source that comes anywhere close to the knowledge that you can get from them. So not because I get leads from them, yes, I have.
Yes, of
I like them
course.
too. But nonetheless, even if I wasn't one of their lead agents, I would still be, a consumer of their materials.
Yeah, I think that's great, and we should share. There's a great starting point for any kind of investor investing, and it's really exciting because they just kind of put a spotlight on us in Indianapolis here recently, didn't they? Let's talk about that.
Well, so just very briefly,
Yes.
BP2, what's great about them is that they cover everything from the beginning newbie who saved up for 10 years to buy their first small duplex to the, multi-million-dollar syndication apartment deal of 100 plus units and everything in between. So it's not just one specific strategy, it's everything. So they've got something for everyone to learn from, and definitely great to, if you need to get started in this, or trying to get started in investing in real estate and you need resources.
Yeah, we trust them. Go to them.
Because not only do they have a great forum, they have a lot of great resources in terms of articles, things like that, but all the people who work for them put out their own books because all their employees invest as well.
Yeah.
And then they do it and they write a bunch of books. So it's just like KWP, they're practicing what they preach and doing it firsthand themselves, and then passing on that knowledge to everybody else to do it.
Yeah.
And so it's been a journey. I started in their beta program back in I think it was 2019 when they were first starting out, like a partner agent program where like a referral business, you need an agent that's investor friendly in a given area. You don't know who to go to. So they kind of created a product for that. And I've kind of rode the wave ever since where now, they started a year ago, their lead agent program. They had 10 at first, 1 dropped off, so now it's 9.
Nice.
I think they're looking to expand it in a few other markets, but at least, as of right now, we're one of 9.
So
it's
cool. And
awesome.
I think I feel like we're want to be a mini Bigger Pockets. Our company, our team portfolio wants every realtor to invest in themselves, invest in the real estate, and become an investor because we don't have a 401k, and that is our future. That's our family's generational wealth that we can build. And you and I are both investors, so it's kind of cool to create this culture in our brokerage to talk about investments. Every Monday when we meet, it's productions, wins, and challenges and case studies, but we always add about 10 minutes of investment stuff, whether it's who's buying the next flip, what did you just do on this investment, are these new construction duplexes going in Indy, what should they cash flow at? So we are always talking about investments, and I wanted to say, when we first met, we just connected right away because you knew that was important, and you've been an investor for such a long time. And then you recently bought an Airbnb in Florida to add to your portfolio. Is that right?
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it was funny. I actually had an offer in on a short-term rental here in downtown, and just the next morning I woke up and a little Zillow alert, 'cause I have a property down
Yeah.
in Florida already in this building, and came up and looked like a really good deal. So I pulled the offer here and went for that one and then
That's
bought it. So
awesome.
I own two in a specific building down in Destin, Florida. They're 2 doors down from each other. So it made it very easy to duplicate as well.
That's true.
And that's, when you get started in real estate investing, especially when people go out of state, there's a lot of due diligence they have to do.
Oh, yes.
What market, what strategy, and it takes forever to kind of narrow it down to find something to focus on. So it was nice that I'd already done it. And once you get it, especially in the short-term rental world, there's a lot of upfront work to get it going, especially if it's not already used as a short-term rental. So it was nice to kind of have that, not turnkey, but at least have a blueprint of what to do on one, so I could just then duplicate it. And
So that was an easy button for
that
you.
one
You
got
grabbed
up
it.
and running very, very
Loved
quickly
it.
compared to the last one.
And so you always learn with each one, even though we're seasoned investors. So I feel like you have short-term rentals here, and also in
So my
Florida.
short-term rentals are all out of state. It's not. I actually think the short-term market here is great, so I'm actively looking for one here.
Good to know.
It's just I took advantage of vacation home loans in the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of leverage.
Yes.
And with those, you typically can use 10% down depending on the lender versus a traditional 20% down when it's just your standard non-owner occupant loan. And you have to be 60 more miles away from your primary residence. So I couldn't use it to buy something here.
Fair.
And we vacation down in Florida anyways, and so it just made sense to kind of combine the two together. Because especially in the short-term world, you have to be very careful about markets that kind of come and go. If you look back at 2020 when that Airbnb exploded because everyone was bored, there's a lot of staycations happening, a lot of driving around, driving stuff because no one was flying.
That's right.
So all these people bought these Airbnbs in all these very obscure areas.
Yes.
And if you've heard the term the Airbnb bust or the Airbnb bust that kind of was coined in the last year or so, that's because a lot of those people are not getting any
Struggling
bookings
a little
anymore.
bit.
Yeah. I mean, there's a million reasons that we could go into why they're struggling, but one of them is they're not in an area that really has a track record of bringing in guests for an extended period of time. So I know it was a very safe bet as well to buy in a very popular, well-known vacation destination.
Yeah, I love that you also talk about being an investor savvy realtor, because I think buyers out there who are green need somebody who have and own investments and understand that world.
It's so important.
So important.
It's like, the 30,000 foot view of our job is very similar. We show properties, we write offers, we provide information, and so on. But when you get down to the nitty gritty, it's completely different. It's two separate conversations when you're talking with a retail buyer, and you're talking to an investor buyer.
Yes.
Totally different. I mean, you'll use terms and language that people, if they aren't familiar with it, they're not going to know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You start talking about ARV, all the
After fair value, I learned that. I know that now. But when I was a baby realtor, I didn't know any of these things. And people say, I want to invest. And you don't know. You're like, I don't know what that means. And I feel like in our world, in the residential world in Indianapolis, when you hear about investing, you're like, oh, I'm going to refer that out. I don't know. That's a scary world.
Yeah.
So what Portfolio wants to do is bridge that gap to the scary investing world, because it's not that scary if you're knowledgeable and you have people on your team that can educate you and you do it yourself, which is what we're empowering people. We have 3 different realtors in our company flipping because we flipped and we shared about it, right?
Yeah.
And so I also feel like the Airbnb and the short-term rentals, those are exciting, but it's just like real estate up and down. And if you can find a space that is safe to do it, then go ahead and do it. I know that I've heard a lot about the Airbnb short-term rental being oversaturated, but if you understand the market or have a realtor that does it in that market and can trust them, that's the way to go.
Yeah, and the conversation comes up a lot about our worth and our commissions these days and the value we add, and that's one of the great examples right there. You go to a knowledgeable agent who invests in that area that you're looking in. The knowledge that they're going to give you and guidance and advice is going to make you tenfold the money that you may have had to spend on a commission.
So much.
People step over dollars, pick up nickels all the time.
All the time.
And it bites them in the butt in the end. So you're right. Connecting with not only an investor-friendly agent, but someone who's investing themselves in that market and doing the strategies that you want to do. Because, I mean, you got to talk the talk and walk the walk.
Agreed.
Otherwise, you don't really know what you're talking about.
And I've kind of been a silent investor myself over the years. I started investing solo at around age 26, 27. And now fast forward, I'm speaking about it, I'm talking about it, I'm training about it. And I am getting more clients coming to me wanting to help them invest, which I love because it's a passion now. Because if I can do it, I feel like anybody can do it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not extremely difficult, but there's just a lot of knowledge. And there's a lot of sections. So you got to teach yourself, go on Bigger Pockets, get a one-on-one with you, right? And figure out where their goals are. And so it's for me, I've had my lever of investor buyers has increased tenfold since I've been more public about I'm an investor. This is how I do it. This is how it helps pay for my lifestyle. And I want that for everybody if they want that, whether it's buying one rental or buying a portfolio of 5, right? And we have all those opportunities to us. I mean, you're constantly listing investing properties in Indianapolis, correct?
All the time.
Yeah, all the time. How many are you selling a month, do you think?
Well, I mean, I've got 9 that are going live on Wednesday, and I've got another package of 8 up in Muncie that'll be in a couple of weeks. So it depends on the week. You know, it ebbs and flows a little bit, but overall, at least year to date this year, 80% of my business are investors, where historically it's usually more in the kind of half and half range.
Yeah, so investors have ticked up because they see opportunity. And no matter the market climate, there's always opportunity for investors. People are liquidating or people are wanting to buy, right? So there's no matter what's happening in the residential world, as also an investor realtor, you can find business and you can, pay your bills and create a lifestyle.
Take 2009, for example. I mean, that's when I started, and the market was in shambles, especially in a city like LA. They crashed real hard. That's a very volatile market. And you would look at it from 30,000 of you and go, oh, the market's terrible, we just crashed. No one knows what's going on. You can't get lending. Well, guess who made out like bandits? The investors. They came and swooped in. And that's how I actually got started working with investors. I just kind of fell into, fell right into it because I was going to be your traditional agent. And then all of a sudden, we're getting all these calls from people from not only nationwide, but all over the world, trying to buy Los Angeles real estate because that's where all the deals were, all the foreclosures, all the short sales, all the distressed property. Yeah, I just fell into it. Saw what they were doing, realized, this house was $600,000 3 years ago. Now you're getting it for $250. LA's not going anywhere. It's a very famous, it's one of the most well-known cities in the entire world. So it's going to come back, and it did.
Right?
With a vengeance, and it actually exceeded what I thought it could ever be. I mean, I own property there still, and each year I go, okay, there's no way it can go any higher than this. This is the top. In fact, one of my regrets is I sold one of my properties there in 2018. With that mindset going, there's no way. It's been going up for too long now. It's been over nearly a decade at that point. At some point, we got to have a down cycle.
Correction.
And nope.
Still going.
Up. Yeah.
And don't you hear, and I see it all the time, was like the best time to buy was 5 years ago, and the second best time is now.
Yep.
Because rates are high or higher than a standard of what people have been used to in the last 5 years, but the housing pricing is continuing to develop and increase.
Let's say date the rate, marry the house.
Yes, right.
Yeah, and especially that's important right now in our local market because I think as soon as rates drop, prices are going to go up. So there's a really unique time right now to get in because we know the rates most likely are going to
be
drop.
Adjusted.
Yes,
and don't you see our investor business is usually heavy in quarter 3 and quarter 4 anyhow?
Yes, Q4 is always my busiest Q. For whatever reason. I mean, I have my theories behind it, but yes, at the end of the year, it tends to be the business, especially on the investor side. There's a lot of people with 1031s or tax things that they're trying to spend some money for various reasons.
Yeah, so I mean, that is part of the hub of our portfolio team is thinking and talking and selling investments, and you're one of our leaders here because you're an investor and you have such a large investment business. So I'm proud to have you as part of our team, and I'm so thankful that you're willing to share your knowledge. I know you went out, had a coffee with one of our guys, Kyle Engel, recently, and he mentioned you inspired him and he was looking at numbers to try to go invest for him and his family. And I just think it's neat that our company has this culture. We want an attitude of abundance, and we have the knowledge, we share it. And just like the young ones are teaching us about Instagram Reels, we're teaching them about what ARV is and what hard money lending is.
Well, it's that mindset of abundance you guys have. There's enough for everyone out here. There's no reason to hoard it all.
No.
And as an example, I mean, with Kyle, newer agent, crushing it, doing awesome. You guys are doing great, helping him on that path. But he's just killing it in the social media world with those reels. I have always wanted to get into that, so he inspired me to do it, and I think I've done maybe 40 or so in the last month
so
plus.
Good to see you
I'm already getting business from it too.
Are you getting business from it? And when did you start that?
Probably just within the last month.
So awesome,
I think within a couple of days after I met him, I went and bought the equipment I needed, and then just.
So you guys inspired each other, and I saw you starting to do reels and showcasing your listings, and you're now getting more traction and more business because of it. And now Kyle's thinking about investing all off of one coffee. So I think that always co-working and sharing what we do know is so powerful. And that leads us, actually, we're doing our very first investment seminar together.
Yes.
Moderated by me, but hosted by you and Josh Wetzel.
Yeah.
And so together we are doing Thursday, August 22nd.
Yep.
If you are a realtor, if you're a client, if you are an everyday guy and wants to learn about investing, tell us about what we're going to do.
Well, I mean, it's definitely like a Q&A, of course, because that's usually people have a lot of questions. They were thinking about it, so we don't need to convince them to invest. They're already thinking about it. Now we got to take them through the next steps.
Yes.
Go over kind of what does it look like, what are the general strategies, options, things like that. What's it actually look like when you buy a property?
Yeah.
What are additional things to look at when you are purchasing? One quick example, like taxes. When retail buyers buy, they don't think about the taxes, that the fact that you don't have a homestead, your taxes are going to double.
Yeah.
And that actually is how you can weed out a lot of those bad agents who should be working with investors.
So true.
I talk with people all the time. I bought this thing, the numbers look good. They didn't tell me about the taxes. Now I'm negative in my cash flow because just one oversight, one mistake took a decent, return to a negative one.
And they're upset because they didn't do their due diligence.
Yep.
So if you're working in investing world in Indianapolis, we're your people, right?
Absolutely.
Because we've been there, we've done it ourselves. And our seminar is really trained to take all of the knowledge and all these people's questions and put it in a box and tell you guys scenarios and then provide we're going to provide some source inventory that we would buy if we were investing currently. And, as investors, we're always looking, right?
Of course,
We're always looking. And I think that opportunity is for the everyday person. It's free. People have asked me if I'm going to be charging for you and Josh to be speaking. And
I'll work for tips.
we'll work for tips. No, and I think it's cool that you guys are willing to share. And that's you don't have to share, but you're willing to do it. Because I think when you go to these bigger podcasts, you read the books, you listen to the podcast, it's kind of hard to execute on your local level. And so this seminar is going to help us execute for everyday people who are I want my first one or I want my next one. And how would you do it? And I think that the star is on Indianapolis because Zillow and others have said we're in the top 4 of nationwide places to invest.
Yeah, we're making a lot of lists. I mean, even talk about short-term rentals. So AirDNA just released some numbers recently. We're the Q1, the record-setting year for Indianapolis in short-term stays.
Wow.
Over 96,000 stays. 32 million projected visitors and over 500 planned events.
And that's because we have such a great convention kind of city.
Yeah.
And things to do.
A lot of going to. But yeah, just all the development in downtown and things that have changed down there is drawing in a lot of people from various sources, whether it be entertainment, corporate.
Yeah.
People visiting hospitals. We have 3 large hospitals downtown.
That's right.
There's so much going on in downtown.
I remember we listed our flip on College Avenue and a homeowner purchased it, but we had people coming in looking at it for short-term Airbnb because it was so close to downtown in Meridian Kessler. Wow. So I just thankful for you to share your knowledge in our upcoming seminars, and I'm sure there will be more.
Oh, of course, yeah, happy to.
But I think, wrapping up, what has been your favorite thing about, starting with Keller Williams and then finding portfolio and being part of this culture? What has it done for you overall?
Sure. So I have a long journey with KW. Yeah. I started with them initially the first 9 years of my career, and then I went independent for 6, which was great. I kind of, they let me fly after that. And KW, one of the things I like in a general sense is they really promote the agent,
Yeah, they do.
Empower the agent, let them build their own business for them versus sort of controlling everything like some unnamed brokerages here do all the time. But then I went back to KW back in November of last year, so about 8 months ago, to help me build out a team. I knew they had the knowledge and resources to do that. And when I was, as a solo agent, you're kind of on an island, so to speak. Yeah. It's very tough to get those connections. So went back for that. And then we talk about a cup of coffee, how things can change with Kyle. I mean, that's how we met as well. Yeah. Well, we were at the awards, or not an awards ceremony. It was a
panel, top
panel for the top producers of the year before, and Sarah was there. You sat next to me.
That's
we just started chit-chatting a little bit. Then all of a sudden, I was like, hey, let's get some coffee. And next thing I know, I love what you guys had to say, and here we are. I think I signed up pretty much that day, almost.
I love it because when you know, and when you see each other as investors and as attitude abundance and brokers who we are top producers. We know this game. We are experts in several fields, and together we want to share that knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's so cool because there's a lot of egos in the top.
Oh,
and we love to say ego is not our amigo. Yeah. And I love that we met, quick coffee, and immediately we're like, we can help each other grow. Mm-hmm. Let's do this. Yeah. And so thank you for jumping on our ship and sharing your knowledge and expertise to the team. And I mean, acknowledging the fact that you pushed Kyle, he pushed you, and so many others, it's just really cool in just a short amount of time, and that you've already beaten your 2020, you're on track to beat your 2023 record.
Well, like I said, and I skipped over a little part, but talking about KW portfolio specifically, I mean, one of the best things is you've already said it, but not only do you come from, you know, a place of abundance, hey, we have all this knowledge, let's help, let's empower you, let's share this so we can all grow and succeed together. But, you know, I definitely gravitated towards that. But I'm a big believer in the, you know, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and your network is your net worth. And so you surround yourself by like-minded individuals, you can all grow together. And I'm not saying anything bad about the previous KW office I was with. They were great, but they were just not, the mindset wasn't quite the same as what you guys have created. And the investment focus, of course, you know, it's a very specific niche.
Very specific.
There's tons of ways to invest, and it's a whole broad category. But when you talk about just investing versus retail buyers, it's, again, different conversation.
Different.
And you guys are really gravitating towards that, which I think is a very underserved niche too.
Yes.
And especially, I mean, I know I'm biased, but I do think there's a lot of opportunity in
well
the city right now, in pretty much every strategy or in every price point too. There are ways to invest and to make good money off of it. So the fact that you're really honing in on that and focusing on that, I think, is very important.
Thank you.
You're going to help a lot of people out. Because I mean, look, some of the agents that helped me with my first rental properties in different states, I mean, I've made a ton of money off them, which then I could leverage that money to buy more, and then it snowballs. So
it's all about the leverage and being willing to talk about your experiences so other people can learn.
Yes.
That's what we're going to do in our first seminar, and I'm sure we'll have more. And thank you for joining this brokerage. It's been such a cool journey, and it's so nice that you said it's an underserved niche, because Indianapolis is such a beautiful city, and I want our realtors and our customers and our clients and the everyday guy to invest in our beautiful city so we can fight the big conglomerates that are taking over. We want some of our city for ourselves, and we want to keep it beautiful, and we want to make the opportunities available to our own clients and to ourselves, right? I mean, it's a no-brainer. So, well, thank you for sharing. I'm so thankful to have you part of our team, and soon in, definitely register. There are about 20 spots remaining. So August 22nd, we'll share some details. Free registration. It's going to be awesome. A great place to learn and to make some connections. So thank you, Peter. And the sky's the limit. Let's go.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.